All right, welcome.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our Land of Vampires Dungeon Con stream. We're super excited to be here.
DungeonCon Online.
So I'm Beth Ball. This is which side are you on?
I'm
This side.
yep, that side.
This is Jonathan Ball. We're the two writers behind D&D Duet and Grove Guardian Press. And so this evening we will be playing a one-on-one D&D game based on our own home Land of Vampires campaign. And so this is a vampire campaign that originally started as Curse of Strahd and then turned into something very different as we got going. And so then we decided to go ahead and make it into a full-length one-on-one campaign. And so you can find out more about that on our site, dndduet.com. Pink Sparkle, so good to see you. We're really happy to be streaming this evening. Sorry, you can find out about more about Land of Vampires on dndduet.com. You can go to dndduet.com/shop and pick up the levels 3 through 6 of the adventure. And we just released a bonus of adventuring companions, which is pretty cool. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Was it already me?
I think so. Oh, if you want to support us on Patreon or check out our other work, you can find us on patreon.com/Grove Guardian Press.
And our patrons are helping us to make the Land of Vampires full-length campaign book, which will be coming out in the next question mark, but we're nearing completion on this bad boy. So we're very excited to bring that to a wider audience. Yeah. So, honey, should we do the vampire hunting thing?
I'm ready. I think we should do it.
Let's do it. So, in the dark, mist-covered, benighted land of Steymhorod, nothing changes, usually. Well, nothing did change until some months ago, a vampire hunter jumped through a blood portal in hot pursuit of her prey and began to effect change in the dark lands of the vampire lord Drago. After a series of adventures, and finally the vampire huntress claiming her prey, vanquishing the mad vampire baron Lord Nassark, and becoming romantically entwined with the Lord of the Land, the prime vampire, the original Lord Drago. Braceris, Beth's character, has recently taken up residence in Lord Drago's imposing, formidable home, the cozy and massive and sprawling Castle Cadigan, so named after Lord Drago's one natural son, who he shares a fraught relationship with. But nevertheless, the ancient vampire lord has found a great deal of solace and peace in the company of the demon/vampire huntress Braceris. Their happy, time together. So recently, though, come to a startling close with a stake in the heart. 1 week ago, in the dead of night, Lord Drago, in bed with his Dark Queen, was staked with a unusual vampire neutralizing weapon, a living stake made of mandrake. and Braceras found herself suddenly adrift in this dark and foreign land without a man. We find Braceras a week later, running through the woods at a rapid pace, the sounds of a hunting pack crying in the woods about her, closing in on her location as she nears in the distance a flickering light of a campfire. Running, heart pounding, nearly to the point of bursting in her chest as she nears that light and what it represents. Braceras finds herself reflecting on about a week ago in Castle Cadigan, the very night that Lord Drago would find himself staked, in their conversation together in the dining hall that evening. Let's see if I have spooky dining hall as an option.
And honey, can you tell me too, how long have I been living in the castle at this point? Like, how long since since she moved there, like the end of our campaign?
She's been living in Castle Cadigan. I think this is relatively fresh still. It's probably been a couple of weeks.
Okay, cool.
So in Castle Cadigan, servants clearing away dinner, phantasmal servants that tend to Lord Drago and your every need. Lord Drago, a relatively benign, vampiric Lord of Darkness, wiping a bit of, I don't know, a little bit of something red from the corner of his lip, and raising a glass to his vampire huntress queen. Braceras, how did you find your respite this evening?
It's been fine. I think Vera and I might head out later. Some late hunting, but
What do you mean head out? These lands of mine, they're not for just the roaming.
well, they're not. But I need to take. I haven't taken Ragnar out in like 3 days, so he's getting kind of antsy.
I understand. Do you want to tell our viewers what Ragnar is?
Oh yeah, sorry. So Ragnar is my fancy, angry, magical sword that does bleed damage. So when you like slash at someone, they'll keep bleeding. But I have to take him out every few days and attack something, or else Ragnar. Is it wisdom saves that I have to start making?
I believe it's wisdom saving throws. Ragnar gets pretty cranky. Well, Braceras, my love, I do hope that you will not be out too late.
I don't think it will take very long. You've left the woods here neglected.
I think that is a personal attack.
I thought you did it for me. I find it very convenient.
Well,
Vera doesn't mind.
whatever it takes to keep you and your companion at ease and happy at my side, that is what we shall do. I'm hoping that you'll be back in time, because the mists on the borders of the lands, they are encroaching, and well, I've had an idea about what we can do about this, but I'm hoping that you'll come with me tomorrow.
You want to go back out to the borders tomorrow?
We shall go to the borders, yes, but after that, well, I'm hoping that there is something that might be done. Something I haven't thought of trying before. I will need your help.
All right. We'd be happy to help.
Good. Well, I won't keep you. Be safe in the woods, my love.
Sure. We'll be back.
So, Viserys proceeded out into the night air. And how did your hunting go?
I think it went really well.
What'd you find?
I think we maybe killed a deer and brought it back with us.
A little something for Vera.
Yeah.
So, that night, as you're laying next to Lord Drago, before falling asleep and before the staking, you find yourself... how does Viserys feel about being in a secure place and in a castle with somebody she cares deeply about? What is she thinking about with that?
She likes being with Drago. I don't know that she loves being. I don't think the castle has started to bother her yet, because you said it's been a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that she can feel that kind of coming on. Just like an antsiness, like kind of a low level antsiness of being ready to move. She's also waiting for something to go wrong.
Perfect. So with those thoughts on your mind, where we left off our Land of Vampires campaign was a flutter at the window, and then Lord Drago being staked, lying next to you, and this shadowy figure swirling back out of the window, and Braceras crying after him. And in the week that's happened since that terrible event, Braceras has been busy. With the blood of many on her hands, she has determined over the last week that mandrake is not something that is just grown in abundance in Steymhorod. An edict from Lord Drago prohibited its cultivation, but there are certainly some of the more daring and off the grid, as it were, figures in the land still cultivated, and one in particular, you've learned that a hag, a witch, it's hard to tell based on the accounts, but a creature by the name of Granny Griswort has been known to cultivate the forbidden root. Furthermore, in the wake of Lord Nassark's death at your hands, the wildlings that had been serving him are now without a leader and kind of scrabbling at what are they doing now. And some certain tribes of the wildlings have turned on some of the witches of the land. And you know that a group led by the wildling Stockjaw has recently captured this Granny Griswort.
Awesome.
And is apparently hoping to extort some kind of magical boon from her. You're not concerned with the details too much, but it is their watchfire that stands before you as you come pounding through the trees, and the howl of the wolf pack that surrounds you and coalesces on your position isn't hunting you. They're hunting with you as you descend on the wildling encampment, bursting through the woods. I'd like for you to roll a perception check followed by an initiative check.
Okay, thanks, honey. Do you know that I've always wanted a wolf pack?
Honey, that's why I've given you a wolf pack.
Thank you. Okay, my perception is 15.
Perception is 15, okay.
Yeah, 20 for my initiative.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Nat 20.
Dice. Friends watching, this is the first dice I ever received. Well, first set of dice. But you bought me these for Berseris. Yeah. So
The black
20.
and red.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Dun dun dun.
Okay, so with your perception check of 15, what you see before you are 2 or 3 wildlings that are hearing the wolf pack descending on their location. Hey, we got a new follower. Descending on your location, and they're looking around nervously. There are about 3 of them kind of near this watchfire, and you know about wildling encampments that they tend to have fires on the perimeters, and then the you imagine that Stockjaw or any prisoners or anybody that he'd be keeping would be further in the center of the camp. It's a relatively rudimentary defensive setup, but immediately in front of you, you see 3 wildlings looking out into the woods nervously. One kind of elbows another to stand up and put a spear in front of him, but you see that as they've been looking at the fire, it's ruined their night vision as they turn around and search blankly in the woods. You, unencumbered by the darkness, are within 50 feet of them or so. What would you like to do?
How many wolves do I have?
Your wolf pack is divided into 2 little mini pack. What do you call it? 2 squads, 2 platoons, 2.
I think squad sounds really cute for right now.
2 groups of 2 squads of wolves that are hunting, and they've flanked left and right. Vera and 3 of the most pliable wolves are nearby you within 10 feet.
Okay, awesome. So I just need to take on these 3.
At the moment, that's what you see.
Okay. I am going to... You said they're 50 feet away from me?
Indeed.
Okay. I'm gonna just start shooting as I run. 3 crossbows.
3 crossbows? Go ahead and roll 3 attacks. And you know what? I'm going to give you advantage on these as you are catching them somewhat by surprise and they're struggling to kind of figure out what's going on, leaving themselves rather open.
Okay. Another nat 20.
Stop it.
So 29.
A 29 will hit.
Okay. A 24. And a 20.
Yeah, all 3 of those are going to hit. You want to go ahead and roll some damage?
Yes. Sorry. I'm still... Okay. So I'm going to double the red one. I rolled 1 on the red one and 2 8s. 10, 18, plus 12, 30 points of damage.
Oh, between the 3 attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry. I thought you were like shooting it like 1, 2, 3.
I thought I'd do like 2 at once. Sorry, I should have specified. I didn't think I could kill 1 with 1 arrow.
So
I was gonna aim like at least 2 at like the one in the center with the spear. Doom doom.
yeah.
And if he falls, I'm gonna shoot his friend.
And are you also closing with them in the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have 35 feet of movement, so I'm gonna close. I'm gonna stay in the shadows, but yeah, I'm gonna. Because if I can dart around them with the wolves, I will. Or just stick all the wolves except for Vera on them. I'll do that.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
I just
So
have 35 feet of movement right now.
Yeah, with 35 feet of movement, you begin to kind of rotate around them a little bit, even as you shoot your automatically reloading crossbows at them. Two of them slam into the neck of one of the wildlings that's kind of struggling to stand up, and he's kind of like picking himself up with his spear and just crumples and kind of rolls a little bit towards the fire itself. You see and smell the like faint twinge of burning hair that comes from his kind of primitive clothing that he's wearing, and this kind of an acrid smell in the air as he falls, and he's a goner. The other one turns to give a cry of alarm and chokes out right before your arrow finds its home and it's in his heart, and he falls over. But he does get a croak out of. And the language you don't understand of the wildlings, something guttural and sharp, raising the alarm even as the arrow strikes him, and he falls kind of over his friend who's kind of roasting in the fire. The remaining wildling, will you roll me one initiative check for your wolves?
Mm-hmm. So they rolled a 15. I think they get. So they rolled 17.
Hey, the serpent and crow is following us now.
Oh,
Welcome, welcome.
I can hear the sparkly sound whenever somebody follows us.
I need to put the fun the overlay thing in the right spot. Okay. So, the one wildling as still remaining with you think you rolled a 15 plus, right, for your wolves?
Sorry, the wolves rolled a 17.
10-4. So with your 17, your wolves get to act before he can do anything else. What would you like your wolves to do?
Well, they have 50 feet of movement, so I would like Vera to stay by my side. I want the other 3 to swarm the ones that are standing there. And maybe for this one, let's see if we can bite him and throw him in the fire.
Okay. Roll an attack as your wolves rush this guy. I think you can have 2 wolves flanking him, so this is again with advantage.
Well, so they don't have to flank because they have pack tactics.
Boom.
Okay. So that's a 12 and an 18.
Actually, both of those will hit.
Awesome.
Their AC is 12.
Okay, so he needs to make a strength saving throw or he falls prone.
Strength saving throw 12.
Okay, that saves. 9. He takes 13 points of damage between the 2 wolves. Sorry, and did he make 2 strength saves? Because 2 wolves.
He just made 1. 15 for the other one, but with your 13 points of damage, your wolves quickly pull him to the ground, and before he can let out another cry, there's the squishy gurgle of throat being torn into windpipe and just kind of the misting of blood backlit by the now waning fire as you and the rest of your pack surge into the wildling encampment. There's a bit of a general alarm happening at this point. There's some rapid movement to the sides, even as your wolves, the kind of the left and the right flanking squads of wolves begin to do their work and to distract and sow disorder and a bit of chaos in the wildling encampment. Even as more fires are being lit, there's cries of alarm in the guttural wildling language. And roll a perception check for me as you begin to get inside the first perimeter of the encampment. 20. With a 20, you quickly spy the furtive movement of a large lumbering figure disappearing inside of a central, kind of a large central tent. He has a giant mass on his right shoulder, and there are spikes kind of poking out of this giant mass on his shoulder, and he kind of carries himself with like a slinging motion as he enters the tent. This fits the description that you've had of Stockjaw.
Okay.
He seems to be going inside this main kind of tent area, even as you kind of see this around the side of that tent area. You see a relatively thin, long, stringy haired female figure wearing the kind of adornment and animal bones and bits of natural material that indicate that this is probably a witch of the wood that has allied herself. It seems she doesn't seem to be escaping so much as moving to the aid of Stockjaw, and as she approaches around the corner of the encampment, a destructive magic kind of crackling at her fingertips as a couple of lumbering wildlings close in on you closer by. So within, from you and Vera, there are close by, probably within 10 feet, there are a couple of wildlings. And then another 30 feet away, sorry, let's make it 50 feet. Another 50 feet away, there is the tent and this witch. And she's got some magic percolating, it seems like.
Okay. Is it my turn?
It is your turn. What would you like to do?
So Braceris pulls a little bit of soot out of the pouch at her side and throws it on the ground and casts silence.
Ooh. Okay. And cast silence in the, was it 20-foot, 30-foot sphere around the witch?
Yes. So it's a 20-foot radius sphere centered on the witch.
20-foot radius sphere centered on the witch. Cool. And so in that zone of silence, as the ash kind of splashes, it's kind of cool. Like as you throw it into the ground, it seems like the land itself, the land of Steymhorod, takes in the ash, and there's just like a little bit of kind of a reciprocal spreading of fine ash like in the area of the witch. And you know that inside this little kind of mushroom cloud that's blossoming out of kind of in between her feet, really, she finds herself unable to speak. Cool. So these bandits, no, sorry, these wildlings, definitely not bandits, they're bandits, are going to approach you. One's going to make the mistake of swinging a big axe at Vera, and the other one is going to attack you.
Okay.
Against Vera is a 5. Does that hit?
That misses.
And against you is a 10. So both of them come stumbling up. You can like as they approach, Vera and you just kind of dive over their attacks, even as it comes to Vera's turn, and then the witch will go.
Awesome. Is Vera 5 feet away from me?
Yes.
Okay. Vera is going to take the maul action.
Maul.
Maul, Vera Ball. Okay. We're gonna try this dice for Vera. Okay, does a 14 hit?
A 14 does hit.
Okay, that's 5 points of slashing damage.
Okay.
And he needs to make a strength saving throw.
And a strength saving throw of 16.
Okay,
They're not very good at much, but they are good at strength saving throws. That's
we're gonna keep trying.
That's what we found.
Really fast before somebody else goes, can you remind me, do we have Vera go as Braceris' bonus action, or does Vera just take her own turn?
The way we're doing it right now, since Vera is functionally your traveling companion, we'll give her her own spot in initiative that'll be kind of tied to yours.
Cool.
But she'll have her full turn on her own.
Okay.
Real quick, while we're considering next actions, audio tonight brought to you by the incomparable folks at Tabletop Audio. We love their stuff.
I'm getting like a dice pile of up over here. Are we waiting on me?
I thought Vera was attacking stuff.
She already did.
Oh, how did she do? I'm sorry.
I have rolled damage and everything.
Wow.
5 damage.
Oh,
5
thank you.
slashing.
I wrote that down. -5, and he rolled a 16. Sorry. Okay.
You're just chilling. I'm like, it's time.
It's time.
It's somebody's turn.
Something's happening. So, as these two buffoons make the mistake of attacking you and Vera, and one of them has a chunk of the underpart of his arm ripped off, in favor for it. In return, the witch has noticed that she is in a cone of silence and is going to, in frustration, move 30 feet towards you, which is going to take her outside of the zone of silence that she's in. And she is going to... in the midst of your... Actually, she raises her hands, and the hair raising up behind her and beginning to billow a little bit. She cups them in front of her and blows through her hands, and frosty white magic comes spewing forth as she casts a cone of cold over you and Vera and the two wildlings.
Okay.
So, you need to make a Constitution saving throw.
For me and Vera.
For you and Vera.
Okay, Vera rolled well.
Good.
So Vera rolled a 15. I rolled a 6.
Oof. So, with your 6, you take 36 points
That's so bad.
of cold damage.
Okay, Braceras looks rough.
Vera takes 18. And the two wildlings that were fighting you, they turn and look in horror as the witch casts her spell over them, and they're frozen in their look of horror into ice statues on either side of you. The whole area behind you and behind Vera and behind the wildlings is now, frosted, covered, almost like, in the mountains of Steymhorod. It's just rime across the space behind you as the witch regards you with a cold, a creepily dead look in her eyes. She has kind of all black eyes, which is not normal in your experience. So, at the top of the round, Braceras, what would you like to do?
So I would like to whip Ragnar off my back.
Ooh! Feed him!
Twice. Roll twice my hand. Run towards the witch. Fire once. Bonus action. And then extra attack with Ragnar. 1, 2. That's what I would like to do.
Roll it.
Okay. The green one is going to be the hand crossbow. That's stuck. Okay. I didn't roll very well this time. So that's 20. And for seriously, it's so much. So it's a lot better than I thought. A 20 and a 14. Oops,
Yeah.
wait, that's wrong. Sorry. Crap. Take 3 off of what I just told you. 17 and
17
11.
and 11.
Yeah,
The
I didn't roll very
17
well.
hits.
Okay, and then a 16 for the hand crossbow.
And the 16 hits.
Okay. Sorry. She has so many accessories, I get confused. D8. And the witch needs to make I think it's a con saving throw.
Okay, con saving throw.
For the blood damage.
3.
Damage. Okay. So she, on her turn, I'm going to go ahead and roll it so we remember. She takes an extra 1d4 damage. Did we say until she heals magically again?
Yes, so that's one of the mechanics we've added in Land of Vampires is the bleed condition where you perpetually have more damage done to you.
And she takes 20 points of slashing and piercing damage combined from my attacks.
So she looks awful.
And Braceris is like right up.
Right up in her face?
Yeah.
Yeah. As you close with her and you have kind of shot her as you're running at her and then slashed her with Ragnar, she's kind of stepped back and pulled her hands apart a little bit, and you see these long bone claws kind of begin to protrude from her fingers as she licks sharpened human teeth with her dirty bloody tongue.
And Braceris lost concentration on silence.
Okay. As concentration falls from the center of the encampment, you hear screams from inside the tent.
Okay.
Male screams. So, it's Vera's turn.
Okay. Vera is going to take out this lady the rest of the way.
Get it.
And she would like to use her charge thing.
Ooh.
And maul.
Maul this witch.
So 18 to hit.
That definitely hits.
And we get an extra d6 for our damage.
Rushing forward.
So that's 9 plus 2, 11 points of damage for Vera.
Okay. And strength save?
Mm-hmm.
Strength save of a 2.
So she's prone.
Vera barrels into her, even as she kind of like goes, ah. Vera just takes her out, kind of collapses to the side, clearing the way. I'd like for you to roll a general animal handling check for how things are going with your wolf pack versus the wildlings. Do you have bad animal handling?
No,
What is?
It's not bad.
Oh, you just roll bad.
Yeah.
Probably with advantage.
Because I'm so cute.
And because you've been working with this
Not
pack.
20.
See,
Yeah,
that's what needed to happen.
Thanks, honey. 22.
The wolf pack is cutting through this wildling encampment with a great deal of relish as the wildlings are beginning to assess the situation and see that they are very much in danger of being overrun. However, it is the prone witch's turn next. She's real hurt, actually. So, from prone, you see as she sinks into the ground and then reappears out of the ground about 20 feet away, kind of popping a little bit, like like monsters used to in Power Rangers when they appeared, almost like they were shot out of the floor. So she lands, and she screeches at you. His death has been a long time coming. And runs. Braceris, it's your turn.
We would like to fire at her back as she runs away.
Cool.
So we're gonna do that. We're gonna just do one hand crossbow for now and see how we do. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So that's a 27.
That definitely hits.
Okay. Eight.
8 points of damage is enough. How do you take down this witch?
I think just kind of classic, like base of the spine. Or not base of the spine, base of the neck. Arrow. She doesn't say it out loud because we have other things we're doing, but Berserk just thinks to herself, Alda is shortcoming. And then we're going to run in the tent.
As you run towards the tent, you whip back the flap to reveal the inside. You see before you hulking, massive, shuddering, the grotesque back of Stockjaw, his deformity having been pierced several times with, it looks like sharp, hollow tubes out of which kind of slowly ooze like a tree giving forth maple, this disgusting bloody yellow pus. Stockjaw, as you enter the tent, is screaming down at a figure that's obscured by his mass. Make it stop! Make it stop! What do you do?
I think so. Since it's still because Berserk is still on her turn, right?
Yes, you only use one of your attacks.
But I don't know how far I've gone.
You've run in. You're at the end of your movement.
Can I? Okay, so I can't see past him.
Roll a perception check for me for fun.
Okay. Okay. 13.
You can kind of see a figure on you basically see like dress and like somebody that is wearing a dress on their knees, and you can see their knees, and he's like standing over this person on their knees.
Okay.
The area around is pretty gross and typical of a wildling tent. But yeah, that's what you got.
Okay. I think I know what Braceris would do, but I feel bad about it a little bit.
Braceris it up, honey!
Okay, she's just gonna slash it. Is this man within melee of me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, she's just gonna slash at him and get him out of the way.
Slash it, Stockjaw. Roll your attacks.
So this is with Ragnar. I keep rolling so bad with him. 11.
11 is not gonna hit.
Okay.
So even as you slash at Stockjaw. Oh, he's surprised though. Roll with advantage. Because you're attacking him from behind. He's fully focused on his prisoner.
Okay, 15.
Let me see if a 15 can hit. Ah! It's one off.
Okay. That's
Oh, wait.
okay.
No, a 15 does hit.
Woohoo! So that's 11 points of damage.
11 points of
And
damage.
yeah, and he needs to make a con save also.
He'll make that con save. What you got there? 8.
Okay, that fails. So that's an extra 2.
All right. So as you slash into him, you catch him kind of like in the back, and it kind of slashes across his big gross hump, and it like there's kind of a splatter of grotesqueness as he's attacked, and kind of reels forward a little bit and whips around angrily, drawing his knives that he usually he's known for doing terrible things with. Um, and looking at him, you see a figure in the grip of madness and pain. It's not an unfamiliar look for Braceras, right? You've seen people gripped in madness and pain before, but nevertheless, he kind of spittle flying from his face. He gives a cry, a shrill shriek, and comes after you.
Okay.
18 to hit.
Mm-hmm.
12 to hit.
Nope.
10 to hit.
Nope.
He does a whopping 4 points of damage with his dagger.
Okay.
Ah, Boom Bunny's in the house.
So good to see you. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us tonight, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I got my -4. Do I hear anything from the person on the ground?
Now that you are engaged in combat with this figure, and I don't know, you rolled the 13 perception check. I don't think it's enough to get too much more, but there is a thrumming, a low chant is happening.
Okay.
And it's Vera's turn.
Okay, cool. I think Vera's gonna just try to tackle this person to get them away from Braceras.
Maul charge.
Yeah. We would like to take the maul charge action. Okay, does a 21 hit?
A 21 does hit.
Okay. There's Vera D6. 7 plus 2, 9 points of damage, and he needs to make a strength save.
Strength save. 14.
Okay, that saves. For now. Until we become more powerful.
Yeah. So, oh, and now it's Braceras' turn.
Didn't you skip Stockjaw?
Stockjaw goes after you.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I think I skipped Vera, actually. So I had her go at the end, but...
Okay, cool. I think Braceras is just gonna try to, like, knock out or eliminate this Stockjaw.
How would you like to do that?
Does he, like, he doesn't seem very, like, with it, does he?
He does not.
Okay. Yeah, I think she's gonna try to just, like, kind of clop him on the head.
Okay. Roll a... Let's call it an athletics check. Yeah, so you clop him on the side of the head, and he seems relatively unfazed as he brandishes his daggers cruelly and slashes at you.
Can I take my other attack?
Oh, yes.
Sorry, Berseris goes and spins Ragnar back around and just slashes down.
Okay.
So 19 to hit.
That hits.
Okay. That's another D8. So that's 9 points of damage. And he takes another 2 on top of that.
Another 2. So with that 9 and that extra bleed damage, you have enough to kill him if you want to. How would you like to finish him? How would you like to finish this fight?
Sorry, I've been playing Persephone, who's so much nicer. I think Berseris, is just gonna kind of just slash the arteries in his neck and be done with it.
So Stockjaw, the leader of the Wildling tribe, gurgling in his lifeblood at your feet, you see now before you. And this is not a witch. This is a hag that's kneeling before you. Long, the fey features, extended fingers and long nose and very intense, craggy face, long, stringy, white hair. She's kneeling before you with locked in kind of a, the stockade kind of thing where like it has your head and your hands in one spot, her long fingers dangling down. And this stockade is made of wood, but you see there's black black stone inlays around where the head and the hands are. How versed is Braceris in Darkstone?
She knows. Her mom was a witch in Schwarzdragon, so she knows what they are.
Okay.
I don't know that they isn't something that she would be worried about affecting her. I don't think, but she knows about them.
But even in this kind of seemingly helpless situation, the hag in front of you has a knowing and kind of almost an eerily peaceful grin on her face as she stops chanting and regards you standing before her. Well, you made short work of old Stockjaw and eased his suffering. He asked me to make it stop.
Well, it was the least I could do.
Very kind of you to oblige his wishes.
I thought these stones were supposed to stop your magic.
Oh, they stop natural magic casting, but there are other things, other ways of casting magic that are a little more unnatural, if you will.
I'm interested in a more natural method that you have.
Well, how about you let old Granny Griswort out of her bondage, and we'll talk about what you need and what I need.
I think you can answer my questions from where you are.
Can and will. being quite different, girl.
Sarah shrugs and starts to leave.
Roll an intimidation check.
Okay. Ba, 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 ba. Oh, not good. She's no charisma 4.
As you begin to leave, you hear behind you, "You can't save him without my help."
She just hears, "Will you still be here tomorrow?"
What? Will I still be here to... I think so.
Exactly. You can't get out of there without my help. How do I know that when I let you out, you'll help me?
Well, we can make a deal, dearie. Do you not like to make deals?
No.
Well, here's the deal. You let me out, and I will tell you what you came here to learn.
When?
Touché. How about once we get back to my house? It's not far.
How far is it?
Oh, 3 measures of... I don't know, what do they say, miles or...
We can say miles.
Oh, it's by the whatever and near the... over the river and through the woods.
Mm-hmm. And how many of your pets are going to try to kill me on the way there?
I wouldn't throw any of my dear pets in your way, you killer of things.
I don't poke people with tubes.
That wasn't my doing. He did that to himself.
Did he capture you to try to heal himself?
He believed that I had the ability to end his pain and suffering, and I believe I have.
You'll talk on the way.
Very well.
Do I see how she's bound into the stocks?
Yes, there is a big rusty iron padlock holding the hinges of the stockade closed.
I think that we're gonna like try to bash it with Ragnar first.
Yeah, roll an athletics check.
Okay. 10.
10. You bash it with Ragnar, and it just bounces around, still intact.
Does anyone have a key? We go back over to the body.
Roll an investigation check.
This is gonna take forever. I think a 9.
A 9?
Yes.
Looking through, it takes... The problem is that it takes a while. But eventually, with the unhelpful suggestions from Granny Griswort irking you all the more, you do turn up a key on Stockjaw. In the meantime, you hear the wildlings have been routed by your wolf pack. And outside you hear a mournful cry from the wolf pack.
Oh no! Let me run back out.
You run back out, and the wolf pack is mourning their fallen member. Looks like one of your wolves didn't make it.
That's terrible. I run back into the tent.
Okay.
I have the key.
Yep.
I have one more demand.
You're full of them.
Bring my wolf back, and you can wait till we get back to your house to talk.
Roll a persuasion check.
Uh-oh. 4.
You who deal death so freely, afraid to confront it yourself when it crosses your path.
You don't know anything about me.
I know that you are cavorting around with the dead.
Already died, so...
Like with like. I can bring your wolf back, but I can't promise that it will be as you like. That is all I can offer.
What do you mean? We're gonna start working at the lock.
Sometimes when you treat death as... when you disrespect death as something less than the final threshold that it is, it's possible to not come back right.
Fine, then you can wait on the edge of the camp.
She, you let her out of the stockade, and she kind of crackles her knuckles, and like she's way bigger than you would have thought. Like she seems to have the ability to kind of, make herself appear pretty small. But as you open the stockade and she stands up, 8-9 feet tall, kind of looming in this tent, and has to like kind of hunch over as she kind of begins to walk out. And as she does, she curls her long green fingers around the ankle of Stockjaw and begins to drag him with her to the edge of the camp, unless she stopped.
Okay. We're gonna go over to the wolves and face it with the one that died, and let the others mourn, and then bury that one.
After your respectful send-off for...
I think Braceras has like a song that she learned hunting, but I don't know it, so...
Sing us a hunting song!
No!
After you all send off your wolf pack, it's not the first member of the wolf pack to have perished in your dangerous line of work, and you certainly won't be the last, but that doesn't make it any easier when it does happen. You all... Braceras, you and Vera turn your attention to Granny Griswort, who's been messing with the body of Stockjaw, doing something. And as you regard her and get a little closer, you see that Stockjaw seems rather deflated. And Granny Griswort says, "Are you ready?"
Yes.
Well, she kind of just turns around and putters hugely through the Steymhorod wood.
What did you do to him?
Well, he was growing something quite weird in that abscess of his. I don't want it to go to waste. It could be useful.
You never know.
You never know when you need some gross stuff. That's what I always say. Come along.
Just gonna go after her.
All right.
She will talk a lot on the way.
You hope she doesn't talk a lot on the way?
Yeah.
So, going through the woods of Steymhorod, you are traveling for a couple of hours before reaching the. You're traveling through the woods for a couple of hours. The trees are rather close here, and it's been. And you came upon the wildling encampment kind of late in the evening. So by the time you begin to arrive at your destination, the weak moonlight that had been lighting the night sky has given way to kind of the sickly first rays of morning sunrise, what passes for sunrise in Steymhorod. The terrain around here moves from the more spacious, wide set forest where you'd hunted the wildlings and begins to get a little bit more dense, a little bit more scraggly, a little bit marshier. There's a little bit of squish to your step as you are traveling with Granny Griswort, and before too long, you come across in a small clearing a what appears to be a massive toadstool, and there is there are smaller mushrooms kind of around it, and in the base of the toadstool, there's kind of a ramshackly, kind of cobbled together bit of wooden lean-to that seems to indicate the entrance of wherever Granny Griswort is taking you. As you approach as well, you hear there's a lot of wildlife as you get closer to Granny Griswort's house. There are some penned livestock nearby, kind of under the toadstool, and slight drizzle begins to fall, and the livestock pen seems to be kind of protected from the rainfall, like under the cap of the toadstool. Mm-hmm. And as you get closer to, there are also lots of unsavory signs of animals. So, like, you see way more snakes than would be normal, and you see lots of spiders, and you see lots of moths, and there are bats on the wing, and you note a lot of wildlife, and it's kind of atypical to see a lot of wildlife in Steymhorod. Well, with all the ghastly ghoulies running around. As you begin to approach, Granny Griswort says, "Welcome to my home. Don't touch anything!" And hobbles into her toadstool house. Vera looks up at you like,
I know I don't understand how we're supposed to go on without touching anything.
You follow her inside?
Braziers takes a second and just kind of glances at the sunrise and kind of just says to Vera, I keep thinking every day that it's going to come fully up. I don't know what that would mean for us, but maybe no sun is still fine. And then we'll walk inside.
Vera kind of cocks her head in response and looks contemplative. Vera's always understood you best. And you walk inside into this music is distracting, sorry.
The giggles.
Into a very cramped and crowded space. There are bookshelves full of all kinds of knickknacks and gross jars full of things, and there's weird smells, and it's very much, you get the idea, as Vera looks at you like, did she order this out of a hag catalog? You walk in, and Granny Griswort is kind of putzing around, checking on things and manipulating things, and you see her walk over to a potted plant that is fully alive as she's, kind of messing with it. And when she walks away, it seems like shriveled and dead. And then she goes over and, gives some flies to her kind of aquarium style thing of frogs that are like immediately begin jumping around and splat 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 against the glass, which is not not a pleasant sound. Um, and turns to you and says, "We agreed we wouldn't talk on the way,
And here we are.
and here we are. So, you have come to ask me about the mandrake."
Yes.
"Well, I'm afraid I might disappoint you. I cultivated mandrake for a time. I wanted to experiment with it, and it was useful in some things, but I've never given it or sold it to anyone.
So who stole it from you?
No one would dare steal from Granny Griswold."
So you're saying it wasn't your mandrake that stabbed Drago?
I'm saying that. I'm saying it's complicated. Hold on a second.
Wait more.
Hold on a second. She kind of goes over, and you hear as she like is bending over and kind of messing with something. You hear a kind of a kind of a wheezy, dry kind of a sound as she produces a root that looks like has a humanoid form and is making a kind of a screeching sound, but not like a super high pitched, loud screeching sound, more of a raspy coffee kind of screeching sound.
Is that a mandrake?
Yes, this is what all the fuss is over.
It looks sick.
You see, this mandrakes, it turns out, thrive best in pairs, and this one has lost its pair.
We're gonna go over. Kind of squat down in front of it.
It looks like a sick, desiccated little root baby.
I think they're so cute. Berserus doesn't. I do. I think I know what happened to your partner.
It looks at you kind of hopeful.
I don't know how to get your partner back, but I would really like to.
You hear. Actually, roll a perception check.
13.
As you're leaned down and kind of standing on part of a rug, you, from the floor below you, you hear a thump, almost like a fist. And then you hear thump, thump, and Granny Griswold kind of like, you feel her kind of demeanor change a little bit. That's enough out of you, Mandrake. And she kind of like puts the Mandrake back and like makes it be quiet.
We whirl back around. Who's under the floor?
Someone I should have been wiser not to awake, that's for sure. You know about, from your week of studying and kind of figuring out Mandrake stuff, one of the things that Mandrakes, one of their qualities is that their scream, their squeal, is said to be able to counter magical slumber. And from down below the floorboard, You hear, "Help me, miss! She's captured me!"
Is that what stabbed Drago?
No, that is nothing for you to be concerned about, and more than you're in a position to handle, missy, she says, kind of waving her finger at your wounds.
Well, while I heal, then you can answer my questions, and we'll deal with. We kick the floor twice. Later.
Miss, I'm scared! This evil woman has captured me! She wants to cook my bones!
Seems finicky. You know what happened. You promised to tell me. I'm tired of asking questions. So you can tell me, or I'm taking this mandrake, and I'm going to go ask somebody else a different set of questions.
Roll an intimidation or persuasion check.
Okay, 18.
18, nice. Very well. I suppose you've got me in a bit of a corner, and we have a deal to honor. I pride myself on not being stolen from. However, I do think that it's possible that this poor mandrake's partner was run off with. I didn't see who it was, and you hear pop, pop. But I did. I'll tell you anything you want to know. Just get me out of here. But just shortly after, I did manage to subdue this demon.
Does it smell like there's a demon in this house to me?
Ooh. What kind of check would that be?
Yeah, she's got, like, I was thinking about her favorite foes, but she started with undead. So, sorry, I was wrong about what we can smell.
You don't smell undeath.
I was just wondering, like, I thought there was, like, a rangery thing that I could use where she could just kind of, like, get a sense of something, but if it is, then...
Oh, yeah, like sense... There's something, right?
Like the primeval awareness.
Yeah.
But...
Did we change that, though?
We might have, because we did the fancy... I tried out the new things, remember?
Yeah.
And so now I'm a little confused about which ones are which. That's okay. We'll figure it out in a second.
I believe that this one was working with whoever ran off with my mandrake.
So what do you think the thing below is trying to do?
I think right now it's trying to convince you that it's harmless.
And what is it actually?
I told you, it's a demon. I'm no demon, miss. I'm just a little boy from Saint Sebastian. From the Ring of Light, he says. He says Ring of Light, not Saint Sebastian. That was my flub. Did you ask Granny Griswold what kind of...
We've asked her a couple times what kind of demon.
I don't know, a bad one. I'm a grower and healer and alchemist, and I don't... Demonology is beyond my interests.
Mm-hmm. That wouldn't be the unnatural magic you were wielding just a little bit ago.
She looks offended. No?
Of course not. What makes you think that demon... Who stole your other mandrake? And more importantly, is there a way to shrink the roots back? It's a growing living thing. I just saw you do it with that plant.
A mandrake, when it is drinking the life force from something that it's embedded in, it's a very difficult thing to counter. Mandrakes that have weaponizing a mandrake is a grave offense and could only have been accomplished by someone operating outside of the bounds of nature and order.
So, any number of.
That's a fair point. I suppose there are all kinds of bad things in these words. What I'm trying to suggest, dearie, is that the one that can undo what has been done is likely the one that has put it in this way to begin with. Likely this one's partner. I'm just a wee lad.
What's your mom's name?
Cassandra.
Mm-hmm. When's your birthday?
It's on the 3rd.
3rd of what?
Renfest. Roll an insight check.
12.
I mean, it sounds like a kid.
Is Renfest one of the months here? I don't know.
It's one of the months.
Sit over there and think about what else you need to tell me.
Okay, you're bossy. Do you want some tea?
No.
All right. She kind of putters over and begins making herself some tea.
Okay, we're gonna sit and check on Vera and make sure that she's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Looking over Vera, she seems well, and she's healed up from when she got attacked by one of the wildlings before.
Mm-hmm.
She very much vibes off of your energy, and so moving from the excitement of the hunt to the frustration of trying to do this bit of investigation and decision making, she's ready to either bite something or run somewhere. So that's how Vera's doing.
Okay, so we're gonna kind of squat down in front of Vera, so we can take the other mandrake and stab Cadigan in the chest, or threaten to. See what happens. Or we can talk to Floor Buddy and see what it does.
Do you say that out loud to Vera?
Mm-hmm.
Granny Griswort pops in. You think this was Cadigan, Lord Drago's own spawn?
He's on my list.
I could see Cadigan despising his father. It is a natural role for a son. But he would not have had the wherewithal to do something like this. Something like this. I mean, mandrakes have been forbidden ever since Lord Drago put him in the dungeons.
Put who in the dungeons?
Look. Oh. One of Lord Drago's worst enemies.
Mm-hmm. Names.
Oh. He is named Radagast. As she says the name Radagast, there's like a whoosh, and like some of the candles dim a little bit, and there's like a wow.
Does it do that every time you say his name?
Radagast. I did that this time. I didn't do it the first time.
It's that's wonderful. So you locked
Radagast.
Radagast away because Radagast is what?
Radagast is one of the most powerful druids that have ever walked the lands of Steymhorod, and he sought to bring an end to the Dark Lord's reign. He was the first and only one to successfully weaponize the Mandrake. But in the end, your Lord Drago prevailed and locked him away beneath Castle Cadigan, never to see the light of the sun again.
Are you thinking that Radagast got out, or that someone else has started his work?
I couldn't say. You hear the floor
Yes.
thump, pop, pop.
What do you think?
I can make a guess.
Go ahead.
Well, I need to be let out first.
Pretty picky.
Well, you see, you have all the cards up there, and I don't have any cards.
You might be a demon, though, so
What if I promise I might not?
that would mean nothing to me. Count backwards from 100 silently to yourself, and we'll talk.
All right. There's a little sniffles. 99. 98. Mean lady. 97.
Is Radagast dead?
Oh. Well, I'm not sure. I've only heard second-hand accounts of Radagast and what transpired between him and Lord Drago.
And Cadigan could have certainly overheard these arguments, allied himself with Radagast, blah blah blah.
Well, I suppose anything's possible. Surely the lady of the castle would have greater access and knowledge of the dungeons than I, humble toadstool dweller.
Yeah, but I didn't know who I was looking for.
Roll a intelligence check.
Okay. Woohoo! Nat 20. 20.
With your nat 20, looking back over your...
Will you talk a little bit more into your microphone?
Oh, sorry.
I can't.
Looking back
it's really
over...
hard to hear you when you turn away from it.
Looking back over and kind of replaying your conversations with Lord Drago, especially in regards to the castle and the dungeons, he's always kept you pretty far away from the dungeon and the work there, and only kind of mentioned in passing, like, oh, I gotta go down to the dungeon and, tear out this guy's guts for whatever, right? Like, anytime that you've expressed any interest or curiosity in, like, seeing or looking at or touring or, like, all of that is it's kind of been the, Beauty and the Beast, West Wing kind of situation.
It sounds like Bluebeard.
Or Bluebeard.
But different.
So, that just kind of comes
Okay.
crashing.
You're just telling me that Braceras has never been to the dungeon.
You've never been to the dungeon. You know that the dungeon master is a very well-respected, trusted member of Lord Draco's house, but not somebody you've met more than a handful of times and only in passing.
Have I had a long rest from the fight?
Not from the wildling fight.
Okay. We're just gonna sit and take a long rest and check on Vera.
Okay.
Not a long rest, sorry, a short rest.
Oh,
Have I
okay.
had a short rest?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna do my hit die really fast.
Yeah.
What? Sorry, everybody. Do you want to talk to the people for a second while I do this?
I was just thinking that it's so cool that Dungeon Con Online is happening over the weekend and that it's online this year and that so many people are going to be able to do the con thing who may have never had to, like, been able to travel and stuff before. This is our first con. It's happening right now.
B, it's so cool.
And it's exciting. I hope that our friends in the chat will be able to enjoy the Dungeon Con experience and the, oh my gosh, the auto mod is yelling at people. I hope that people are going to be able to enjoy the Dungeon Con experience online this year with the Gather.town app. Yeah. It's so cool. You get to run around little town and kind of check out what's going on.
Oh, cool. Sorry, the person that is yelling at us from Goodman Games.
Awesome. Oh, nice.
We're really sorry about the Autobot. We haven't, it just like won't turn off all the way. Okay.
Okay. Oh yeah, we got the sprinkles. So, honey.
Sorry, so we heal up. We feel better?
You heal up, you feel way better. Yeah, Vera looks totally good. Granny Griswort is, she's kind of like, as you've been resting and thinking about what to do next, she's kind of in and out of paying attention. She flits around and messes with stuff at her house, or she kind of, she'll doze off from time to time.
We're going to sneak over to the thing on the floor.
Okay.
Did you make it down to 0?
0. Are you going to let me out now? I'm a good boy.
Sure. Are you going to help me?
What do you want? What do you want?
Do I see like a door or anything, a way to let it out?
It appears that this, there's like a rudimentary trapdoor that's slightly covered by a rug, which is what you were standing on before, when the mandrake kind of scream happened. There doesn't seem to be a padlock on this trapdoor, but there's a rug covering it.
Why did she tell me that you were asleep?
She put me in a spell. She made me sleep.
Oh, so you could have been asleep for a really long time.
I don't think it's been that long. You're talking about a mandrake, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saw the person who took the mandrake. I could tell you about him.
If I let you out.
If you let me out.
You will tell me about him if I let you out.
I'll tell you whatever you want to know if you let me out.
All right. We're letting it out.
Awesome. So, as you, so you have to move the rug aside and you have to swing the trap door open. Are you trying to do so sneakily, or you just like do it in a rush?
We're just gonna do it.
As you...
She doesn't want to help us. We're tired of asking questions. This is the next most obvious step. We're going to take it.
As you throw open the trapdoor, the rug that it is on resists you, and you find yourself kind of struggling to whip open the door from this rug that is animated and kind of, it's an awakened rug, right? And it's like gripping onto the floorboards, basically, as you begin to pull. And the ruckus startles kind of Granny Griswort awake a little bit. What do you do? If you can try to wrench it on your... This is like your turn, right? So you can try to wrench it if you want to. You can attack the rug. You can do... What do you want to do?
We're going to just try to wrench the door open.
Okay, roll an athletics check.
Oh no. I dropped one of my dice. Where did all my oh, here they are. It's like that's on my d20. 11.
11. Let's see here. So with your 11, oh, it rolled so bad. So you actually whip open the trapdoor, and the awakened the rug kind of you see fibers kind of tearing at the seams as it gets pulled apart away from blocking the trapdoor.
Priscilla says to the rug as she pulls it away, like, just nab the kid when the door opens.
As you throw open the door, there's like it's a coffin-esque hollowed out space beneath the floorboard, and inside there's the form of a little village boy who's been, kind of tapping and knocking. There is one strange thing about this little boy, though. He has really, really big eyes. Like, they're too big. And he's kind of like gazing up at you as you open the trapdoor. Make a wisdom saving throw. I think you roll these. Do you roll these with advantage?
I think so.
Okay, I'm used to you playing elves. Or half elves.
10.
10? This little boy is dear to you. And it is... you feel compelled to make sure that this little boy gets out of this heinous witch's house in a hurry. Okay. So, as you do that and you kind of lock eyes with this little boy, and you're like, I've got to save this little kid. At the same moment, Granny Griswort kind of stands up to her full height, and she's big and scary. She knocks kind of a shelf kind of over, and like things start crashing off the shelf and splattering and spluttering, and things are unleashed, kind of in the place, and there's suddenly like things flitting around in the house. There's an acrid smell kind of beginning to form from the jars of noxious whatever's broken. And she says, "What are you doing? I brought you into my house." And I think that she is going to... will you roll a charisma saving throw?
Okay. Everyone's attacking me. A 6.
A 6. She says, "Stop!" She shrieks it at you and points her finger very firmly at you, and you are kind of really, really torn. Like, you feel like your mind wants to save this kid, and you find yourself only being able to move so quickly. So you're slowed at the moment.
Okay.
What would you like to do? What does Vera do?
Does Vera know that like both people are throwing spells at Braceris?
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes. Okay. I think that the more obvious thing is the hag.
Okay, I think that Vera's like at Braceris' side, kind of looking up at Granny Griswort, growling.
Okay.
And Vera's got an eye on the rug too. We don't want it to try anything funny.
Bad rug.
I think in her partially slowed condition, or just like maybe in the like as this is happening, and as Granny Griswold is yelling at her, I think Berserk just kind of turns and says like, "You wouldn't help me."
And the little boy says, "And I will." And he takes your hand and
Wait, how do you get out of the hole?
Oh, he stands up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's not a deep hole.
No, it's like coffin-esque, like it's shallow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he stands up out of the coffin-esque thing and takes your hand, and suddenly you're outside of the Toadstool house. Just in a flash of kind of, there's a bit of sulfur on the air, maybe a little bit, but it doesn't seem too concerning to you.
Is Vera with me?
Vera's in the house.
That is concerning to me.
Yes. So you're out of the effect of the slow. What would you like to do? You still feel compelled to aid this little boy, but you don't. You're not slow anymore.
Boy?
Yeah, when you look at him again, he doesn't seem like a little boy anymore. He seems like kind of a burly man, but he's still got those same giant eyes.
I think Berserk just says, "We forgot Vera. Who did you see with the mandrake?"
He gives this really too wide smile and says, "It was the dungeon master." And he gives you a nod, thanking you for releasing him, and just swooshes away. And as he swooshes away, you find yourself kind of pulled out of the thrall of his personality and into this horrifying reality where Vera's growling and snapping, and there's like green magic being thrown around inside the Toadstool house.
Okay, we're gonna run back in and save Vera.
Okay. As you run up to the Toadstool house, you can see through a window, like the Vera's like kind of jumping around and dodging spells being thrown by the hag. And if you want to, you can. Vera sees you kind of approaching and begins to run for the window.
We throw it open.
Throw it open. Vera jumps out of the window. Are y'all gonna stay and fight Granny Griswold? Or are you taking off?
I think we're gonna take off.
Nice. So, you begin.
We don't feel like there's anything else useful that she has to tell us.
Not so much. You begin careening through the woods, and Granny Griswold puts up a little bit of a pursuit as the natural world around you begins to kind of try to coil at your ankles and things like that. But you swear there's even a couple of times where a root catches your foot and at the last second kind of relinquishes it, almost like it recognizes the queen of this land as you go sprinting through the forest.
You're so funny.
Into safety. Where are you headed?
So we let our wolf pack. We told the wolf pack to be free roam. After the attack with the wildlings, so I think that we'll head back kind of that way and try to kind of swoop and catch up with them. Where have we been based for this past week?
I think you've been based out of Castle Cadigan for the most part.
Okay, I think we'll just run back to the castle.
So, as you kind of make your way back through the woods, this great betrayal kind of, if you can believe this creature that you encountered, also roll a history check to see. Braceras is very well versed in scary creatures, and I think she'd be thinking
17.
about 17. I think she'd be thinking about what it is that she could have encountered, and you've heard of demons called Oni that can take on the guise of different creatures, but this had some Oni-like qualities, but there's other things that aren't quite right, so maybe something like that. Anyway, a bad thing. But evidently a creature of its word, as it aided you. Running through the woods, you eventually regroup with the pack and feel so much more at ease with them at your back and on the prowl with you as you make your way back to Castle Cadigan. As the moon rises in the distance, it takes you most of the day to get back to the castle. Even from a distance, approaching Castle Cadigan, you can sense that something isn't quite right at the castle. There is more than the normal aura of foreboding and terror, and there's certainly a palpable stench of blood and death as you begin to approach the castle.
Isn't Drago still in the castle?
Drago is still in the castle.
Okay, yeah. Berserk is gonna go in as fast as she can.
As you get closer and closer to the castle, in addition to the aura of death and the blood and the scariness, there are sounds of battle can be heard as you get closer, and you see the gates of the castle are closed. You've never seen them closed before, but the gates of the castle are closed, and there is a kind of a wild. There's a bit of a horde of zombies and ogres and just kind of gross things that are being kind of dealt with by guards on the wall as you approach. Braceras and the pack kind of coming in at the end of this battle, tilting things very much in the favor of the defenders of the castle. It's a formidable, institution. It's stood for a long, long time. Some zombies and ogres aren't going to do anything with it. Anyways, as you reintegrate with the castle, though, you see that these guards are haggard, they're exhausted, and one of them reports to you, Lady Braceras.
What happened?
They came from within.
Who?
They came from the dungeons. There was I guess you'd call it a dungeon escape. The people that our good lord rightfully imprisoned and tortured down there, most of them are gone. Most of them
The dungeon master
are gone. He surely he died in the fighting. I haven't seen him.
I'm not sure he died in the fighting.
We haven't been able to go down there yet, as we've had this lot, but you all dealt with them.
Where's Drago?
Oh, don't worry, my lady, he's resting comfortably Well, as comfortably as he can in his current state, I suppose.
Right.
He's safe.
I think we're seriously gonna go check on him just in case.
As you rush up the...
And there's one of the mages in the castle that she wants to talk to.
Yeah. I can't remember his name. What's his name?
I know my Berserk's notebook is downstairs, so I'm using a different notebook. But
We're going to
the
say
mage,
Stanislav.
Stanislav.
So, the powerful advisor and mage for Lord Drago, as you come kind of careening around the corner to Drago's chambers, Stanislav has powerful... He's got behind him levitating... He's bald and severe and very much like a kind of skeletal visage, right? Like black robes. But around behind him, almost in a corona, he's got swords and rapiers levitating behind him. And as you kind of come careening around, they all track to you. You know, and as he sees who it is, he gives a kind of a terse smile. But Asaris, I had worried for the worst. I thought that you were an enemy, as we've had quite an eventful evening.
I came to talk to you about. Berserk's puts her hand on her sword behind her back just in case, and I think being in the castle and it being established as long as it has been, that they would have code phrases and things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Drago would have taught her a question. I don't know what it would be, but how did the two of you meet or something that only the two of them would know. That now she knows too, that she would ask. Of Stanislav.
He gives an appreciative smile, which is eerie from...
She's thinking about the wrong answer too. Well, after she asks the question.
Nice. I like how paranoid Berserk's is, but he gives the appropriate answer and with a terse and appreciative smile at your caution. By the light of the moon. Or something, I don't know. And he queries you as well. And relaxes after you give the right answer. He's waiting for you inside.
Right. We go in.
You go in, you see your Lord Drago still hands clutching the mandrake stake pierced through his heart, in this comatose state, not alive, not dead, kind of just frozen, but unchanged from when you last saw him.
I think she'll kind of sit by his side and just kind of check on him for a second, stroke his hair back and stuff, and then she's gonna not pet, but tap the top of the mandrake's head, I think, and say, I met your partner.
Interesting. Roll either nature or... Yeah, roll a nature check for me.
7.
The stake doesn't really react.
It's he. I don't know. It's probably just as upset as you are. Does the name Radagast mean anything to you? Does anything weird happen in the room when I say
it? Yeah, as you say Radagast, there's kind of a... And suddenly, Stanislav is at the door, frowning. What did you say?
Radagast.
Nothing happens again, but he says,
I don't understand.
Why do you know his name? That name has been scrubbed from our history.
Greenie Gilsworth.
She was always interested in things that would eventually get her into trouble.
Yes. Um, she thought she said that Radagast was the reason that mandrakes were banned.
Radagast is the most dangerous threat that our Lord has ever faced.
And he's been in the basement until recently. Or is he dead?
Did he escape, or was he killed?
I met something in Granny Griswold's mushroom house.
We needed to go determine.
Okay, good idea. We're gonna tell him on the way about the thing that we met, that we set free. It said that it was the dungeon master who... Was he trying to say that it was the dungeon master who stabbed Drago, or the dungeon master who, like, stole the mandrake?
Yeah, your deal was for the thing to reveal who stole the mandrake. But Stanislav seems super worried about that, and so confused too. This unnamed dungeon master, having been someone of great trust, almost like a Stanislav himself. And Stanislav seems hurt by that.
The thing that I met, I wouldn't have set free on my own. I don't know that we should assume that this man acted on his own either. But we need to find Radagast.
I hope he is dead. Stanislav takes you through the castle and through some various hidden doors and behind some tapestries and winding tunnels and things. Some of them you knew about, most of them you didn't know about. And into the bowels of the dungeon of Castle Cadigan.
Berseris thinks that this is definitely why she hasn't been able to find the dungeons, because she has looked.
As you get down there is a profound darkness lingering down there. There are many of the guards of the dungeon in various states of dismemberment and death kind of coating the walls as you enter this space. The cell doors creak eerily in the darkness, and there's a feeling of profound solitude and despair in this space as you follow Stanislav's lead towards where Radagast's cell had been. Stanislav explains, Radagast is one of our oldest denizens. His gift with the natural world, having prolonged his life unnaturally.
Why didn't Drago execute him?
Who knows why our Lord does what he does, but I think he did not execute him because that is what Radagast wanted. And so Lord Drago took that from him.
Sounds like him. Is there anybody in that cell?
Beginning to approach that cell, Stanislav gets near it, and it seems it's closed as he approaches, but as he sticks out his hand and opens it, it swings open without difficulty, and inside it's like a 3x3 box. You could only stand in it, and there's nothing inside. And as Stanislav says, them, there is a shudder in the ground. Behind you, and like some stone falls from the ceiling, and Stanislav whips around, and two things happen at the same time. Emerging out of the darkness at the end of the tunnel, you see a skeletal dragon emerging in the space, and from the ground below Stanislav's feet, hands burst and grab the old mage at his ankles and pull him into the ground. And I think that's where we'll stop.
Yay! Thanks, honey. So exciting.
It was super fun.